Covering the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio, serving Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, Savannah, and beyond. Featuring your host, Big Al Flowers, with co-host Jeff Zapp. Two patriots who are unashamed to speak truth as they stand for God, family, and country. Join them as they discuss hot issues, breaking news, politics, sports, faith, and more, keeping the Low Country entertained and informed. Listen at TalkOneRadio.com or watch them stream live on Facebook and YouTube. Taking your calls at 843-800-1492. Don't be left out in the marsh. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest talk radio. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, only on TalkOne Radio. Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help. Their Heroes program provides experienced guidance from mentors and business professionals to help launch and grow your business. Contact Brad Barnett, Heroes Program Director, at 843-540-7039 or visit their website at donryancenter.com.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online, or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat and eat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with TalkOne Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Hey, I want to thank my buddy Brad Storm for that wonderful, wonderful job of creating, he's in voiceovers and so am I. And it's always just kind of strange how when you do your own voice for your stingers or your station idents, but I had Brad do it and he did a fabulous job. Brad Storm VO. Check him out. If you are listening, you are a business person, you own a business, and you need some voiceover artists to do. Really, he can do a variety of things. So check out Brad Storm VO. Brad, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. I think I've got all the audio issues worked out here. The other day, I had George the tech on the phone for about an hour, and it looks like we had some configuration issues that I need to modify or change, which that's fine. As I mentioned before, we upgraded some studio equipment and got everything rocking and rolling here, and I think we're good now. I'm waiting to see my mom's text to me. Thank you, Jerry, and my producer, Linda. But I think we should be all set now on the streams. For some reason, we were having a feedback loop or a garble on Facebook and YouTube. Rumble, we should be okay with. And I wanted to make sure that we were live before we invited our next guest onto the line. And so we're going to go right to that now, 7:32 p.m. Again, thanks for listening to Talk One Radio this Friday evening. We're going to go right to our guest, Joe Prasnikar. All right, Joe, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. You're hearing me okay, Jeff?
Yep, loud and clear. Thanks so much, brother, for being on live for this evening. And no, it's really a pleasure. And as I mentioned earlier to you in my direct message, I'm not going to really say that much because I want to listen and learn. But let me give just a little brief introduction. So Joe and I grew up together in Northeast Ohio. We were best friends, did everything together, neighbors. We lived by the cemetery. He lived on the other side of it. Our families were close. And I haven't seen Joe, in many years. We both are followers of Christ. And I saw through a Facebook post that he had suffered horrific loss. His sister Kelly had posted something on Facebook, and I was actually at a loss for words. And once I was reading through the story, and I'd been praying about having him on the program, and we actually had a chance to chat. I think it was last week, and it was just a great chat, and I've been praying about it. So we were direct messaging earlier, and then so he felt led to be able to come on the program as well, and I wanted him to be able to share his story. So I'm going to shut up now. Joe, thank you for being on Talk One Radio. You have the floor and the microphone, my friend.
Well, I have my sister Kelly here. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
The 21st of August, Waverly, Tennessee. If any of you watched the regular news on national news, President Biden declared it a national disaster. It was 7-ish in the morning. I had just had pretty serious surgery a couple days prior, and I was in my jammies and had a hoodie on and a black golf shirt. And my Hallie and I, we were together 17 years. I had met her on a turkey farm many years ago, and we hit it off really good. Well, we made 17 years until that day, and then that morning the message came in that there was a flood warning, and there had been floods before, but nothing that came into the house. It came close to coming in the house a couple of times, but that morning she didn't want the little trim mower, the still weed eater that we had with the attachments to get water in it and stuff like the last flood. So she went out and brought in the trim mower into our little 2-bedroom house. She brought in the weed eater and the 2 little plastic gas cans so they wouldn't float away in case there was a problem. She no sooner got in the house, she turned around at the storm door and water just sloshed right through. And she said, "Oh my God," I says, "close the door before the water gets in." Wow, it was fast, like really fast. And then I went to grab some towels to mop it up so it wouldn't warp the floor, and water was just pouring through at that point. And I was like, "Callie, we got to get out of here." And she's like, "We can't." I said, "Why?" She says, "The car's underwater." It was literally, Jeff, no more than 90 seconds, and the water was up to the windows in the outside door.
Oh, my goodness.
We retreated to the bedroom, and I remember going into the bedroom, and I was on the phone with my sister. First, it was 911. I called 911, and they dropped the call. Apparently, about that time, the water had hit them as well. So they went down. I called my sister Kelly up. We had retreated to the bedroom, and you could hear the house groaning. And we tried to close the bedroom door, but it ripped off the hinges, just split on the corner. Water was surging through. It was the bed was floating. I remember that. I had some cash money I had set aside, and I told Hallie, I said, take this, put this in your pocket. And I was on the phone with my sister Kelly, and she could hear the terror. And did you want to say something, sis?
If ever you need me to speak, you let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, and Joe, just real quick, if I understand the emotions here, and you're fine. If you need a second to collect yourself, like I said, I wanted to just be quiet and listening to you, but take your time, please. You only share what you want to share and can share. I know how raw of an emotional loss this is, so please take your time.
It's the only way for me to honor her. But
Joe and I were on the phone, and at this point I said, you need to call 911, and he said, I did. I didn't realize the 911 centers were down. And he said, the house is filling up with water, it's flooding. And in the back of my mind, I thought it's flooded before. And then I said, well, take high ground. Like I've never been in this situation. I don't know what advice to offer. And he said, well, I said, get on the bed. And he said, the bed is floating. Well, I knew that Hallie had had double knee and hip replacements. I knew that she had at times mobility issues. And now I'm picturing, okay, the bed is floating. And so my next thought, can you close the door? And he said, the door's off the hinges. Well, now I'm getting a picture of the brevity of the situation, and I can hear Hallie screaming in the background. Now, Hallie was very together all the time. Like she was the rock. She knew exactly what to do with different situations. Yeah. You know, she could navigate anything. So to hear the fear in her voice and in her cries, it really started to hit me what was going on. And at that point, you know, Joe said, I think this is it, sis. And I said, no. I mean, at this point, I'm getting angry, right? Because I'm like, you need to fight this. And he said, you don't understand. The house is collapsing on us. And I said, well, you can swim, you know. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, my brother did whitewater rafting with the church when we were younger. And, you know, and I'm not imagining like homes and walls and concrete and glass like at 40 miles an hour through the water. I'm not even imagining that. I have no concept of what he's living through at the moment. And so I'm like, no, you can swim, you know. And I'm like, I need to call our sister, because our sister is a nurse, and she's done training with FEMA, and she'll have some idea of what to do. And so Joe and I lost contact at that point. I called our sister, and she basically said, well, wait a minute, there should have been warnings. And so she got online to look at FEMA, and there was a warning at 2 a.m. and then nothing until the 7 a.m. warning went out.
Oh my goodness.
Almost as if nobody monitored what was going on. So at this point, and Jeff, you know this, I get online, I'm posting like, I need a boat, my brother's capsizing in his home. You know, at this point, I don't care if I put his address and everything all over social media and call every news channel, and I'm messaging newscasters. And one gentleman that had a boat, somebody that works for me in Tennessee, actually, their daughter posted on social media, and this man that had a boat went to Joe's home. But that's certainly, I mean, at that point, from the time we lost contact, Joe did walk me through that. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I had basically told Kelly that I loved her, and I thought this was the end of my story. And as the right side wall of the house was ripping off, she had Boo Boo, a Chow Chow rescue, and Ariel was on the bed with him. We got sucked out of the house. got banged up by the wall. She had a cut underneath her right cheek, and I had a cut across the bridge of my nose. We were in the lee of the house, the backside, and it seemed almost a moment of calmness. And we were in the water, and it was deep enough you weren't touching bottom. I want to say it was 7-8 feet by that time. I grabbed a hold of, well, before that, I said, "Where's Ariel?" And she said, "She's right behind us." And I looked, and she was gone.
Oh, my.
And she had boo-boo underneath her left arm, and she grabbed a hold of my forearm. I grabbed hers, and it was it. I just felt the current just yank me under the water. I heard her scream, "Joseph," and then I was gone, and I didn't have time to catch a breath. And I thought, "Oh my God, this is it." Yeah. And I came up, I don't know, a few seconds later, and I was shooting through these people's backyards down Joe Street from Simpson, where I lived. And I had to be moving 35, 40 mile an hour. Goodness. I saw this piece of chain link fence, and I reached out, and I was able to grab it somehow. And as soon as I grabbed it, the water, it was moving so fast, it just pulled me under. I'm 53 now, Jeff, and I used to be strong, but I'm not that strong anymore. But
well,
I felt my pajamas. I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I was just going to say what you described, what Kelly was saying, I think until you're in a situation such as this, if you've never experienced the raw power of water, or wind, right? If you've, I think of Katrina, people have probably seen these things, and you see water flooding, and maybe even in very small, maybe the road is flooded over, people think they can drive through. There is so much force, and you're talking a situation here. It destroyed. I mean, we're talking a matter of minutes. You said 7 a.m. Within a matter of minutes, it was over your car, and it was taking your house, washing your house down the street, if you will. And so here you are, your wife, and I'm so sorry for your loss, Joe. I really am.
It's Jeff. Oh God, this is so hard. It's just I hung on that tree for 3.5 hours, and I kept thinking, if I move, I'm gonna die here. And I screamed for Hallie for probably a good 2 hours. I took a break in between to kind of shout out to God and just talk to him and said, because she was my life.
Yeah.
She was everything to me.
Yep.
She and I managed, each other's health. When one would go down, one would step up and do the cooking and the cleaning and the walking the dogs. And I didn't think she was gone. There was a point where the boat showed up. I'd seen a helicopter, and the next street over, Commerce Street, and I think it went down and it grabbed the fella off the roof. And I was shaking tree branches, but I was naked from the waist down. I had lost my pajamas and the little diaper things that I had to wear from the surgery.
Right.
So I was naked from the waist down. I took my hoodie off. I used that to stand on it because I had no shoes on my feet, and they were tore up pretty good. I found out later, I think I broke my foot going out the house, or, grabbing and my foot slamming off of something. So that's been a little tender, but the boat came after 3.5 hours, and these 3 fellers in this boat, I'll never forget them. They managed to fish me off of this tree, fighting current, and it was starting to recede a little at that point in time. But these are really good people, the best I've ever known outside of where we grew up, Jeff.
What's the county name? What's the name of the county there?
It's Humphreys County, Waverly, Tennessee.
Okay, and this is how far west of Nashville is this, so you can paint a picture for folks that are listening?
Hour and a half.
About an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes.
Okay. Real
close to Loretta Lynn's, out on 13.
Okay.
Literally like a 10-minute drive, to her place down there. But
so these 3 men show up in a power. I'm assuming a small power boat.
Yeah, it's a little John boat. It's
okay.
Aluminum boat. Probably 40, 50 horsepower motor on it. They got me in the boat, and then they're trying to navigate, but there was all this stuff underneath the water you couldn't see. And 3 times it almost tipped the boat over. And they risked their lives. I'm not kidding. These are good people.
Yeah.
And because if we went in the water at that point, I don't think we'd have made it.
So, Joe, you said you were hanging on that tree for about 3 hours. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so this is, I'm assuming this puts it right around 10:30 or somewhere around there when they found you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just moments before we got sucked out the house, I told Kelly, look, I love you. I think this is the end of my story. I dropped the phone in the water and then to tend to my Hallie and the dogs.
Let me ask your sister something real quick before you continue on. Kelly, I can't even imagine what you're experiencing at this point. Your brother, and you guys are really close. How are you coping?
I am, first of all, I'm going to social media because all the phones are down, but a woman posted a video of the flood and people standing on their roofs. And at this point, I'm like, okay, my brother's capsizing in his home. And I got really, really just assertive. Like, I'm messaging people and people are posting like, I know somebody that has a boat. And I mean, I'm literally on people's pages. I don't know who these people are. I'm like, if you have a boat, if you can get there, if anybody can help my brother. And then I'm in my kitchen, Jeff, like with God. Okay. And I'm like, God, I know David wrestled with you. And I know that he knew your character, and I know your character, and this is not how this is going to go down. Now, I don't know, of course, we don't have the right to say that to God. Of course, we don't have the right to make demands of him of any kind, but I'm begging him with every fiber in my being that he will save my brother. Because my brother and I, when we were 11 and 14, we saw our mother die in front of us. We have survived so much together. And survived so much together that I just thought, no, this isn't over. His story's not over. But what I didn't realize is that when he went around the backside of the house and he walked me through this, there was a chain link fence that had wrapped around this tree like paper. Literally the boats. And I started calling, like, this person has a boat, this person has a boat. And people were texting me back, and I'm texting them. And if they don't answer, I'm texting. And they're saying they won't allow us in because all of these boats are capsizing.
Okay.
So now at this point, I'm just feeling completely helpless. There was one gentleman from the Waverly Fire and Rescue, the emergency response on Facebook, who's messaging me like, have you heard anything? Are you okay? I'm going to keep praying. And that was what amazed me the most, Jeff, about the community there was this is a community of God-fearing people. This is a community of people that, it's not about what they have. My brother and his wife, they didn't have a mansion. She made the curtains for their kitchen. These are people who pull together and love on one another and care for one another. So the fact that people that I don't even know were like, I just reposted this about your brother. I just did this. I just did that. So again, the connection that I have a couple of people that I know that through work that live in Nashville. The one gentleman, his daughter is a nurse, and they know people with EMTs. They reposted it and they said, someone has seen your brother. So at this point now I have a glimmer of hope, and this is like 8:00 at night. So all day I'm just screaming, bawling in my kitchen. I'm just having this conversation with God that I just beg of you, God, that this is not how this is going to go down. And I remember just this whole conversation about David, like David wrestled with you, God, so I'm wrestling now. Yeah. If I've never wrestled and I'm not in any position to wrestle, but I'm going to wrestle with you now.
Well,
and
go ahead.
No, just the character of God. Like, after everything that we've been through, I'm just begging him to show his mercy and to show himself faithful and to come to the situation and to come to my brother's aid. When someone had said that they saw him, I now was able to make contact with one of Joe's neighbors who said, we saw Joe at the church. They gave him some clothes and he went back out to look for his wife. And of course, my sister's like, what is he thinking? He just had surgery. And I'm like, I know what he's thinking. He is thinking this, she's my life. And I have to go find my life. I'm sorry, Joe. So then Joe, the next day, he had connected with some people in the neighborhood, and I can let him share more about this, Jeff. But the phone that, there was a phone under all of this water in the house the following day. Hallie's phone, and I was calling any phone that would ring at this point, and Joe heard it ring, and this is the phone that was in 8 feet of water.
Oh my!
And picked up the phone, and I was able to connect with him. And the one thing I just wanted to tell him was, "I've got you. I've got you." Like, when life is throwing you into some crazy tailspin, you just need somebody to say, I can catch you. And maybe in me telling him that, he was going to be able to catch his breath. He was going to be able to just know that he'd come out of the other side of this. And at this point, we didn't know anything about Hallie. We didn't know if she was going to be okay. I told him, I said, this was Sunday. I said, I have a flight tomorrow. I went to church in the morning. After church, I went to buy clothes for Hallie and Joe. I brought an extra suitcase. I thought, I'm going to get both of them and I'm going to put them on a plane, or if my brother wants to stay there, or if, no matter what, Jeff, it wouldn't have mattered if he wanted to live in Alabama or Kansas or in Waverly, Tennessee, where all of this happened. I was just going to try to create an opportunity for him to just breathe in all this craziness. So I talked to a friend of his, and my first thought was, like, I'm going into, to just support mode, right? Like, can you meet me in Nashville at this family practice clinic? And so his friends, they took up a collection for him, and, at this point, he doesn't have anything, right? So they got him some underwear and some towels and toothpaste and things, put it into a suitcase, brought him to Nashville. And my thought was, my brother needs to stay in a hygienic place. He needs a bed. So I got us a room and put him up. The following day, we went to get him another, like a temporary driver's license. The day after that, we got him in to see the surgeon. Yeah, everyone was so gracious, no matter where we were. People are like, why are you in town? And I would tell them, here's why I'm in town. And they would just pray with us and just be present with us and encourage us. And, we didn't realize at that point, I wanted to get him to Texas where I live and give him a roof over his head. And, we didn't really realize, Jeff, the trauma that would then continue with trying to establish his life after the crazy. You hear about people that they lose a loved one. Okay, they lost a loved one, and I'm not discounting that. We've lost so many family members. And then you lose your life, but, you don't have health insurance. You're trying to navigate getting everything reestablished in your life, and you're on hold for 4 hours and 6 hours to talk to someone who says, no, you need to call the other phone number that you just called. I ended up writing the Texas senator, and it's just like whatever door I need to knock on, because my brother, has a slew of health conditions. And my thought was, I can't lose him now after all this, And I know what he was thinking. He's like, my sister can't afford thousands and thousands of dollars of medications, and then flying back to meet with FEMA, they canceled our original appointment, and we had to cancel our tickets and then get new tickets, and all of this, Jeff, while I'm trying to hold down a job, It's just been, go ahead.
I was gonna say, as I'm listening here, because I can't appreciate what you both have been through, and especially Joe losing literally everything, including Hallie. And here you are rushing, not only as a sister, but a sister in Christ, compassionate, loving, supporting, giving, and trying to juggle everything in your life. No one really appreciates anything like this, a disaster, until you walk through it. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you both on the program this evening. One, to allow a little bit of therapeutic, if anything, cathartic release for Joe if he wanted to talk about it. And then secondly, let's talk about the healing and the helping, the encouragement coming alongside as fellow believers in Christ. It's one thing to pray for somebody, but I always say you put your money where your mouth is. People that are out there that are listening to this program that want to help Joe, how can they do that? Have you set up anything? Where can they go? I wanted to at least have an opportunity to share that before we went to break here in a few minutes. And I want to keep you over and when we come back from break. But would you please talk a little bit about that? Because I know Joe and I did discuss it last week. And he's humble. I don't need anything. But you've been helping him out. He's been plagued with, trying to get everything set up medically. How can people help that are listening, whether it's through monetary donations or whatever? Do you have something set up? Can you talk about that for a few minutes, please?
Well, my nephew Brendan, he was flipping out. They all thought I was dead because I went on the missing persons list.
Mm.
But he set up a GoFundMe. If you Google like Waverly, Tennessee flood, Brendan Prasnikar will pop up. And then he talks, I don't know. I haven't hardly looked at it, to be honest with you. But, some friends stuck some money in there. I haven't claimed it yet. It's not under my name, but that's it. They're I haven't known what to tell anybody, Jeff.
Well, can you do me a favor, you and Kelly, if
Yeah.
you can get that information to me so I can post it on my show notes after tonight so people can click on something and take them there. That would be really helpful. Again, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is come alongside, and any contribution or help, certainly, I think anyone that's listening to your voice or our voices this evening can have the compassion that want to help out. And there's a lot of people that do. So if there's a place they can visit to help out, then let's get that done. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we got about another minute or so before we go to break. So I want you to kind of hold that thought. What I'd like to do is kind of talk a little bit more about how those three men, that's where we were, the three men on the boat, what's transpired. Kelly talked a little bit about that. And then kind of, going through this iterative process, like you say, you're relocated, you're living with your sister in Texas. You're still trying,
Right.
what's the next step? Like DHS, FEMA, are they providing any type of financial support? I mean, you lost your house.
I got $1,100 from FEMA to relocate. And other than that, I've got no cash assistance. And because I'm staying here at Kelly's, I'm assuming they're talking about cutting my Social Security down to $530. If I don't pay rent, I lose money, that kind of deal. And Kelly was like, well, just, hey, look, we'll work this out. But at the end of the day, it's I'll be lucky to at $530 to have like $80 a month to live on. I need clothes. I need shoes. I don't have any sneakers. Kelly reached out, and some of y'all helped out to get me a phone and to help pay for the plane ticket back to FEMA. Kelly was out like $1,500 plus for that.
Jeff, and for me, like, I know God provides.
Yes.
I think the hard part of the situation is Joe's been in the middle. Like, he's kind of like this in the gap, right? So initially Texas said, no, you don't have any Medicaid because you have Medicaid through Tennessee. And he said, I'm not in Tennessee. I already called them. And they updated a change of location, but not a change of residence. And so every single time he would be denied, we were starting the process over again, and everybody said 45 days. So we went to the Social Security office because the Texas Health and Human Services office was gracious and wonderful and said, you need to go to SSI and they need to get us this form. And, those of us who've had to do our taxes, Jeff, that's probably my extent of the experience with the federal government.
Right.
To be on the phone for 4 to 6 hours, to be told you need to fill out a form and you get a link and there's like 200 forms on that link. And you're like, well, which form do I need to fill out and who does it need to go to? It is so convoluted. And there is no special assistance for someone that had to relocate. I kept telling people he's been displaced. The cops at the SSI office said, we can't let you in. We're booked up through October. And I said, he has no medications.
Oh my.
Okay. So at this point, I'm like, I don't want to be rude, disrespectful, but I'm begging. they're like, call this toll-free number. We called that number. I said, please just get a supervisor. I will sleep outside of the SSI office if I have to.
Right.
So the tricky part about it is, the federal government has declared him disabled. He should be getting health coverage. So we went to get his medications, and they said they're only going to cover 3. When he was in Tennessee, he was covered 15.
Wow.
And that wasn't even a cap on 15. That's just how many he has. So they weren't covering his medication. So now, yes, Texas recognizes that he's disabled. Yes, they're giving him some health coverage. It's only 3 prescriptions at this point. Hopefully that will change. And when it comes to his disability, any assistance that he gets to try to rebuild his life is pretty much, they're cutting it. I'm like, how can they cut it after you just went through everything that you went through? You lost your wife, your house. I mean, I literally want to write the senator again and say, seriously, is this how Texas is going to treat my brother after everything that he's been through? At the end of the day, he's a person. He had a life. He needs to have a life again. And he's never lived lavishly. That area, like I said, is not like, it's not this well-to-do area. I mean, he wants to have a roof over his head. He wants to be able to pay for medications, and at the same time, I'm just blown away by how our air quote system, has really, they don't look at his situation and say, wow, we're really going to help you. I don't know how people, Jeff, that were going through Katrina, I have no idea how they did it. At this point, FEMA said, well, we can't give him any compensation for his property because he has to apply for a loan. With what money will he apply for a loan? Well, he can pay it back in 30 years. And since he has no income, then he'll probably get denied. And then the government can step in and help. I'm like, really? Is that how we've structured this?
It's absolutely ridiculous, and most people have no appreciation, again, of not only surviving a tragedy such as this, but then having to deal with this bureaucracy, the federal government specifically. It is beyond aggravating, for sure. But yet we can spend billions of dollars, and I don't want to politicize this. I'm saying we can spend billions of dollars, or trillions of dollars for that matter, with a stroke of a pen. And someone like Joe and others that, like you mentioned, whether it's Katrina or Waverly, Tennessee, are living through hell, let's face it, here on Earth. So we're going to go to, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff. I was just going to say, if this had been, the president's home, this would not be the case. I'm sorry.
Right.
But that's what disgusts me about it the most, is that these are humble people that have no ability to rebuild their lives. And half of them don't even have the ability to sit on hold for 16 million hours or drive a car to an SSI office, let alone beg for help.
Yeah. And with that, Kelly and Joe, what we're going to do is we're going to take, can you stay with us for another segment?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I'm going to put you on hold. It's going to be about a 5-minute break. We'll come back and we'll continue our conversation. Folks, thanks for listening to TalkOne Radio on this Friday evening. We'll be back in about 4.5 minutes and we'll continue our conversation with Joe and Kelly. Stick with us.
Looking for a barbershop with a traditional feel? Well, look no further. Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop is the Low Country's place to receive a top quality haircut or straight razor shave. You'll enjoy a family environment where everyone is welcomed and the refreshments are on the house. Joe's is located at 23 Johnston Way in Bluffton and open 7 days a week. For old school service and quality, makes Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop your go-to place for the finest haircut and shave in the Low Country. Call 843-757-5637 or visit www.joesclassiccuts.com today for your next appointment.
Vineyard Assisted Living is a nurturing community with customized care, programming, and amenities that aim to engage and inspire. At Vineyard, we don't just care for you, we care about you, which is why we personalize our programming and care levels to each resident's passions and needs, stimulating mind, body, and soul. Find out more about how you or your loved one can thrive at Vineyard. Email info@vineyardbluffton.com or call 843-612-0700.
No time for fitness? Unsure of what to do when you walk into the gym? The eFit Club uses eGym and Matrix technology combined with personal training to easily guide you through your workout. It's the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to improve your health. The eFit Club is suitable for all adults, and our members are reporting amazing results. The eFit Club is located in Bluffton at the Belfair Town Village Shopping Center. Mention Alan or Roman of TalkOne Radio, and you'll receive a special discounted membership. It's your time to get fit. Change your fitness, change your life.
Attention active military, exiting military, veterans, police, firefighters, and EMTs. Do you have a business idea but need a little help getting it off the ground? Well, the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help. Their Heroes program provides experienced guidance from mentors and business professionals to help launch and grow your business. Contact Brad Barnett, Heroes Program Director, at 843-540-7039 or visit their website at donryancenter.com.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online, or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat meat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with TalkOne Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to this Friday evening. Here we are, 8:09 p.m. Eastern Time. We're live, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Still continuing our conversation with Joe and Kelly Prasnikar. Thanks so much for listening to this horrific tragedy, this story of tremendous loss. I'm going to bring them back online. All right, Joe and Kelly, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were headed to the break. Joe, I mentioned, you were talking a little bit about the three gentlemen, and they saved your life in the Little John boat.
That boat, I seen, they finally got me close to what I would call shore. It was somebody's backyard that wasn't underwater. They got me in close. I saw there were some women folk there, and so I took my shirt off and I put my legs through the arms so I could have a little bit of dignity. Reserve bearers.
I wanted to ask you a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but as you were hanging onto that tree for 3 hours, as you were looking around, could you see? Could you describe a little bit like the neighborhood? You lost your house, but this is a rural area. You said they're good folks. How many other homes were nearby, and how many other homes that you could see were destroyed? Were you like just in awe of like the destruction?
Yeah, everything was underwater as far as I could see.
Okay.
There were explosions that had gone off while I was in the water, and it was from houses that were ripping away from the power lines, and there's gas mains there as well. And so one lady's house had a white picket fence. That was pretty well burned down. I have to send you pictures. I don't know if I sent you any, but
no, you haven't sent me any pictures. And again, I just know this is a raw. It's an open wound,
yeah,
and I'm trying to be very cautious because I love you, brother. You know, and I can't wait to see you in person. We're gonna make that happen. But I'm getting text messages from like my mom and other people that want to know how they can help out. So I want to make sure that I encourage our listeners to just stay tuned. I will hopefully get a link from Kelly or Joe where if you want to donate or help out or get in contact with them to help in some way, whether it's clothing, listen, there's a lot of believers that are on that listen to our program. This is all about speaking truth. And both Al and myself are unabashed in our following of Christ. So we want to make sure that we can help you out as well. So just wanted to throw that out. Continue with your story, please.
Well, I went to the First Baptist Church on Main Street, and these people just escorted me into the bathroom. I guess they had been fishing people out, and that was kind of like the way station for that. They gave me a pair of shorts and a shirt. And then I went out. They gave me a bottle of water. There's no power. There's no cell phones at this point. It wouldn't matter for me anyway, but I kept asking, had anybody seen my alley? This one girl thought she might have, and everybody's afraid they're going to give the wrong answer, and at least it was hope at that point.
Right.
But I walked down to the Shell station barefoot, and June was down there, and I've known June for a number of years through one of the churches in Hallie and I had been attending, and everything was shut off because there was no power, and so she put me in her car and she started driving me to the police station, the fire station, any place she could think of where Hallie, they might have taken Hallie, or there's some kind of list to start, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And she had to protect on her own kids and grandkids and stuff. And so at this point, just driving down Main Street, it was horrific. You could barely get a car through because whole sections of asphalt are ripped off the road.
And how far is this from where you were located, your house?
I'm ground zero.
Okay.
I was like 2 houses down from the bridge where this little creek with a stream in it. But the thing is, we'd all been talking about it because 2 years ago it had flooded before, and you can't imagine what that's like. But it still wasn't anything like what we just went through. This was like biblical proportions of destruction.
Yeah.
I heard stories of people, with a shotgun blowing the roof outside of their house so they could get out so they didn't drown. Well, if everybody's talking about 20 people that died, there's actually 27 people. There's an additional 7 people up in the hospital morgue. Last I knew a couple of weeks ago that they hadn't identified yet. These may be elderly shut-ins. I don't know. I just know that I went looking for Hallie with June, and then June said, "Who could you stay with?" And I said, "Well, take me over to Tom's house." And so I went over to Tom and Debbie's house, and nobody was there. Now, unbeknownst to me, at that time, they were out looking for me. And then she took me over to Jeanette Lemurray's house. Everybody knows her as Dog. And she's like, "Where's Hallie?" And I'm like, "I can't find her, honey. She's gone." And I was just exhausted, physically, emotionally exhausted from what I had just been through. Then I had that pretty serious surgery I talked about, and
and other health issues, by the way, folks. If you're wondering, we're not going to get into that, but here's a man that was holding on to a tree for 3 hours, and we're talking. If you've ever been in any type of white water, it's not easy to do that.
No, and it was contaminated water. But I'm a heart and lung patient. Anybody that's curious, I've got at least 27 stents in my right coronary artery, my left anterior descending. This is part of the reason I'm on Social Security income. COPD, that kind of stuff, lung issues. But moving on, I went over to Jeanette's house, and she gave me some clean clothes from her husband that passed this year. She gave me a pair of sweatpants, a T-shirt, his underwear, and some socks to wear because I had nothing.
I was going to say basic necessities here, something to put on, clothing, a roof over your head, and maybe some food, right? Subsistence here at this point.
I just couldn't eat. I mean, I drank some water, but the thought of eating anything. When I came to stay with Kelly, she said, "You got to eat." I just didn't want to put her through any more drama than she'd already been through. Day 2, 4:00 the following day, Jeanette got the call from the hospital that there was somebody to identify. So we went up, and they're all these emergency response teams. You're talking Air National Guard, Army Corps Engineers is out there. I mean, it's swarming with just people and organizations, and they're setting up temporary cell phone towers, maybe have to shut them off at night, don't know if they have fuel, all this kind of stuff. And everybody's freaking out because people can't find people. When I went out, finally showed up at the hospital at 4:00 because we drove out to Dixon to go to the YMCA over there, and people are all concerned about, HIPAA laws and all that. And I don't want to hear that, and
Right.
I'm looking for Allie. That kind of stuff. Look, you're going to tell me she's here, she's not. We've been together this long. This is who she is. This is her Social Security. This is her birthday. This is where she lives. I am who I say I am, and I can't find her. And then it's horrific, Jeff. I mean, Jeanette gets the call. We go back to the hospital, and then they're like trying to prepare you that this is not like a funeral home setting. And I'm like, I'm 53 years old. I get it.
Right.
Let me just go back and make sure it's her. And so that we go back, and I identified her. Jeanette identified her. And it's the worst, Jeff.
I'm so sorry, Jeff.
She's in a van with other people, and they're looking to move them out and get them taken care of, and but I went back, and I was just a mess. And then Tom showed up about a half hour later after we got back from the hospital. He got out, and he's retired out of the Army 25, 27 years, and he's like, I've been looking for you for 2 days. And I just ran up and gave him a hug and just kind of held him.
Wow.
And then he said, Debbie's worried sick, Wanda's worried, the kids are worried. So I went over there, and I ended up spending the night in the spare bedroom, one of the kids' beds. They weren't home. And then the following day, Kelly's like, I'm flying out. I'm jumping on a plane. I've got you. That's all she would tell me. I got you. Don't worry about it. And it just broke my heart because, outside of Hallie, I haven't really had a lot of anchors in my life. Just God, good Christian people. Tennessee is second to none with people. Alice and Herb, over New Johnsonville, the Kotlarses, Gloria and Ted. There's been some amazing people that I've known over the years that, Andy Wheatley. The older we get, the more funerals we attend. But, with my health issues, I thought for sure I'd be the first one to go. But Tom was like, you could stay in our schoolhouse. They got it's like a small building, like a big shed, like a hunting cabin kind of thing. But there's nothing there. It's just, it stinks of raw sewage. You've got charity organizations coming in, Chefs for Christ. I think it's Billy Graham Ministries, maybe, I'm not sure. Big semi, they're pumping out 2,000 meals a day. Tom, he's taking his own personal truck and a double axle trailer to grab meals from them to deliver them for the churches who are doing outreach. These are people. These are real good Christian people. They're God-fearing people.
Right.
When they say the Bible Belt, they don't mean people that are just hard-nosed, fundamentalists, beat you over the head, no cussing, no smoking, no whatever. These are people that they really believe what they believe. They really want to help their communities and their people. They call it being neighborly. And it's a place where doors quietly open for Hallie and I. And when I found out about it, I was like, why us? And they were like, because you're good people. You're church-going people. People of your word. You say you're going to do something, you do it. And people just, that's how it is with these people. They're very accepting and very forgiving and very loving, but there's no place for a lot of people to stay there. And I realized that very quickly, that I was going to be in trouble were it not for Kelly coming out to, she put us up in a hotel. Tom dropped me off at St. Thomas Midtown, and that's where I got kind of checked over. They checked my stitches down there, and
and Jeff, these are people who are like, they work at the clinic and they're like, here's my personal cell phone.
Yeah.
If you have any issues health-wise, please call us.
Yeah,
and that's what blew me, is that people were authentic and real and genuine.
Yep.
And it wasn't like, oh, you've been through a tragedy, here you go. It was just,
Dr.
you
Macarenas.
know what it was? It was the hands of Christ.
Yeah.
It was the hands of Christ. And when Joe took me to that area, Jeff, he was about 2 miles behind his house, along a, there was a...
It's a ways.
It was a ways. There was a couple of homes, and you could tell. You'd look at one home, it was completely flattened. You look at the next home,
burned.
It was burned to the ground, and the only thing that was standing was a shower wall.
Yeah.
Another home, there was a trailer in the area, and this is a small neighborly town. So Joe lived in town about, two houses and a bridge to Main Street.
Yeah.
So in this small little community, there are homes, and they're small, 600 square feet to 1,000 square feet homes. They're not huge.
Right.
And there was a trailer. The trailer was literally completely uprooted from its foundation, and not even in the street. It was in the street, down the street, not even close to where it was before, because you figure septic, sewage, explosion, water, glass, shards of concrete. It just when he and I drove through town, you look over in the trees and there's a quarter panel of a car, the tire and the quarter panel. They still haven't found Joe's vehicle. He and Hallie had a car, and
that's what I did. It was a big chunk of my back pay, Jeff, is I needed the reliable transportation for Hallie and I to get back and forth to Nashville for good quality medical.
Yeah.
I'm a heart and lung patient with other issues like this surgery I just had, and she was like the bionic woman. But it's all gone. It wasn't bad enough losing Hallie, which just is devastating. But then, I started thinking, what if I'd gone into the kitchen? What if I'd gone into the back bedroom or the side room? And then when you look at pictures, you're like, Hallie's like, you wouldn't have survived anywhere in this house.
Yeah.
The refrigerator was in the living room. It had barreled through the kitchen wall and was in the living room. The whole house was filled with water. I said, you would have barreled into that refrigerator. I mean, it is clearly by the grace of God that Joe is here.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Hallie, Jeff, if I can say 2 words about her, she was on the grief and share team at church.
Yeah.
She worked at the food pantry and was a member.
Volunteer.
She was a volunteer to do outreach to give food.
Chairperson for Highland Rim. Volunteer.
She just so she had her own health issues, and she spent her time helping other people.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And it just I think that's the hardest thing, for Joe and I, because she was a conduit for Joe and I in a lot of ways. Joe would say, I want to honor Hallie, and she said that it would honor her this, and then he would ask me, is that true? And I would say, yes, absolutely. And she would just smile at me. It's like her and I had this understanding that we were helping one another and helping him and all of us to be the best version of ourselves for one another.
What she's talking about, Jeff, is I would have an argument with Hallie, and Hallie would say, well, I need you to come to the table on this. And I'd say, well, honey, I don't understand, but I'm not saying you don't have validity. And then I go to Kelly, and Kelly goes she's absolutely right. And I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, this is how one thinks or processes. And so over the years, we had this kind of a dynamic where Kelly really helped me navigate a lot of my relationship with Hallie. But Hallie wasn't hard, Joe. I met her on a turkey farm after my first heart attack at 39. And she was amazing. She was this heavy-set girl, going about 285 pounds. and she had broke up with her boyfriend, and I met her and started working along with her, and she was such an amazing person that we began to date, and we had a little private ceremony with our own little wedding cake, our friends over, we exchanged vows, and then you look around, it's like, where did the time go? And I was just down to see Kelly like the month prior. I was so excited to come out and see Kelly and have a couple bucks in my pocket and to see Lisa. I hadn't seen Lisa in, God, 20, 25 years.
Yeah, we had like a family reunion here a month prior.
Oh, my God, it was amazing. And I went home and I told Allie, I was like, I don't care what we have to do. Next year, you and I have to go. We have to find somebody to watch the dogs. Whatever it is, we'll get it sorted. We need to devote some energy to solving this problem. And I remember telling Kelly, I was just sitting there, and she's like, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, just how many more trips do I have? How much time? And I told her, I said, we all think we have more time. I'm agonized that Hallie was such a good woman, Jeff. I mean, she's top shelf. Anybody that met Hallie loved Hallie. I don't think Hallie ever met a stranger, but I was down here and I had picked her up a pen, and it was one of these little real pitty Swarovski crystal pens. And I had been looking the whole trip so I could find her something for my trip. And I knew that she was doing the Bible study at the First Baptist Church in Waverly with Miss Gloria. And Miss Gloria does a grief and loss class, and then she started a woman's grief share team over there.
Right.
And that family, oh, geez, Jeff, they've suffered too. They've suffered a lot. But the 14th, she's doing a celebration of life. Up north, you call it a wake, that kind of stuff. Down in the South, they just call it a celebration of life. And I put a sort of a little video, but I'm no position to really do that much talking, because my mind's all over the place still.
Yeah.
Like today, I called HUD, and I got, a voicemail. So I left a voicemail with it. I'm still trying to negotiate Social Security. Why are they cutting my Social Security $280? I need that money to buy clothes and shoes and toiletries and supplement my food and do other things. And I'm like, why?
And have a life. Like, I hate to say it like that. And Joe and I have talked about this. It's not like the clock is ticking here. I mean, I have a home. He needs a home. So this is great. And God provides all things. But I want Joe to be able to have good things, and when he was like so excited to find this little pen for Hallie, I mean, some people, they don't think twice about buying a pretty pen, and he wanted her to have that so that when she went to Bible study, that she could take out a pretty pen. Like, the two of them had gotten to this place, and Hallie and I, we just had the sweetest sisterhood where they would fall asleep holding hands at night. People are so entrenched with what they have, what they're doing, their position, what they're building in life, what they're leaving their children, and they just wanted each other, really, and they just wanted to be surrounded by good, God-fearing people. And I mean, every single day, like, there are things I think to myself when Joe and I are talking about something and we're not on the same page, we're trying to navigate that, I get kind of like, Hallie, what should I say? Because Hallie spoke Joe, they spoke the same language, and I'm like, Hallie, I don't know how to say this, or I don't know how to extend grace in this area, or I don't know what to do with the situation. I mean, Jeff, I have a full-time job, and I will do well in my job, and I still can't navigate this stuff. This stuff is complicated, and it's complicated in the context of grief. Joe and I still haven't had the opportunity to talk to anyone about all of this.
No.
You're the first person really that we've talked to.
Yes.
We've unpacked this to this degree. And, it'll be nice when we can stop worrying about all the logistical things and get help, and
that's what's hard. It's a whole
process to grief. Yeah.
It's like grief is on hold, and I have moments like I'm having with you now, Jeff, and with Kelly, because I don't get a chance to breathe. And then when I'm down from like 3-4 hours, yesterday I was on the phone for 3 hours, calling Social Security. and to finally get through, and the regular lines are down. So I've got somebody, it's a satellite person that can't answer my question.
Right.
And I'm like, at a certain point, I just want to sit down and just disappear for a while, because it's grief comes like waves, and they crest, and I know that I'm not supposed to be pushing that stuff away, and so I know you mean, and I'm kind of like all emotional, and then it passes, and then I see a picture of Allie. Like, I was looking at an article the night before I called into the show, and it was my baby.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I've like I said at the start of this program when we brought you on, I'm in the belief, I'm in the book of Job right now, and I'm not trying to compare you to Job, but I'm saying is human suffering and tragedy is real in our life. We live in a fallen world. And by no means would I presume to know what you're experiencing. I've been through grief myself, and it's a process. So there are people out there to help. I do want to encourage you to be able to share, to unpack that, as Kelly said, as you process through this. So hopefully that will be a process again for you to be able to do that. And I'm certainly willing to talk to you anytime, brother. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You can call me anytime, and I'm here for you. I'm grateful. God's hands in all of this, right? He's sovereign. And that's the thing, is listening to the stories of these genuine followers that are in that area, that have known you, that have loved you, that have come alongside of you, other people, whether it's in federal or regulatory agencies, people that you see, or hospitals or health systems that are showing the love of Christ through compassion and kindness. That's what this is all about, is that we live in a really messed up world. And whether you survive Katrina or Waverly flooding, or in Tennessee where you've lost everything, including your wife, it's about the body of Christ, knowing that the anchor for our soul is Jesus Christ, and he has redeemed us from this craziness, and we're not home yet, but we will be someday. And until then, we've got to keep on keeping on, as hard as it can be in our lives. And that means, you know what? It's a great reminder to smile at somebody. We don't know what someone, like if I didn't know you from, say, average Joe, I hate to use your first name, but if I didn't know you from, John Smith or Jane Smith, and I saw you at the local grocery store, it's a reminder for people to smile and to help others out, to be kind. You may not even believe in God, but my goodness, at least love your neighbor as yourself. And so I'm just appreciative and honored that both of you would come on the program to share this heart-wrenching story with all of our listeners. And I'm hopeful that maybe hopefully it wasn't too soon, but it somehow was enabling for you to start the process, this grieving process. And you're welcome to come on anytime. I did want to mention, thank you, Kelly, for texting me while we're talking. On our live stream, I have the image of the Waverly flood in the background. I also did the link in Facebook, YouTube, and I just posted it on Rumble. So if you're wondering, if you're watching me live, wondering what I was doing with the computer, that's what I was doing. So that's up, and people will be able to go directly to the GoFundMe account and help Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Financially, yes.
If I can just ask, if people are listening, they would show grace and pray that doors would open for him. It just seems like every single time we turn around, there's another struggle and another challenge. And I'm just like, God, you know what? You're sovereign, and you're the God of provision.
Yep.
And you provide all things. So I'm believing that he is going to kick doors down. I'm believing that his health insurance is going to be resolved, that his home situation is going to be resolved. All of it. Because that's what God does.
Yes.
That's what God does. And so if people can pray and just keep that in prayer, we're very, very thankful for that. We know it works, and we appreciate it. And I just want to thank everyone for their support and encouragement, prayers.
We
wisdom.
We will do that. And I want to thank you, Kelly, for being the true sister that you are to your brother. I love you both. And I'm grateful for that you've taken time to come on the station tonight and talk a little bit about this story. That, again, God's orchestrating all of this. Unfortunately, some of our stories are a little bit more littered or riddled with tragedy. And so thank you both. Joe, thank you for sharing everything this evening. I'm looking forward to catching up with you off the air. If you'll be around, I'd love to talk to you. And Kelly, again, thank you for number one, for being assertive and taking the social media. I don't get on Facebook very much anymore for my own reasons, but I am grateful that I saw the post. I would have never known. I would have never have known. So what you did certainly affected me in other people's lives. And certainly at the end of the day, you came alongside your brother, which is that's an incredible illustration of love and grace and mercy. So thank you both. I'm going to have to go to station break. Joe, thank you again. I will talk to you here shortly. Folks, we did post on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble the links to the GoFundMe account. But most importantly, as Kelly just mentioned, those that are believers in Christ Jesus, I'm asking you, please, lift up those needs that were defined and outlined tonight for Joseph Prasnikar and for his sister as well, for strength and for courage to continue to fight the good fight of faith. So thank you both for being on the program. We're going to go to break. You're listening to TalkOne Radio.
Looking for a barbershop with a traditional feel? Well, look no further. Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop is the Low Country's place to receive a top quality haircut or straight razor shave. You'll enjoy a family environment where everyone is welcomed and the refreshments are on the house. Joe's is located at 23 Johnston Way in Bluffton and open 7 days a week. For old school service and quality, makes Joe's Classic Cuts Barbershop your go-to place for the finest haircut and shave in the Low Country. Call 843-757-5637 or visit www.joesclassiccuts.com today for your next appointment.
Vineyard Assisted Living is a nurturing community with customized care, programming, and amenities that aim to engage and inspire. At Vineyard, we don't just care for you, we care about you, which is why we personalize our programming and care levels to each resident's passions and needs, stimulating mind, body, and soul. Find out more about how you or your loved one can thrive at Vineyard. Email info@vineyardbluffton.com or call 843-612-0700.
No time for fitness? Unsure of what to do when you walk into the gym? The eFit Club uses eGym and Matrix technology combined with personal training to easily guide you through your workout. It's the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to improve your health. The eFit Club is suitable for all adults, and our members are reporting amazing results. The eFit Club is located in Bluffton at the Belfair Town Village Shopping Center. Mention Alan or Roman of TalkOne Radio, and you'll receive a special discounted membership. It's your time to get fit. Change your fitness, change your life.
Attention active military, exiting military, veterans, police, firefighters, and EMTs. Do you have a business idea but need a little help getting it off the ground? Well, the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton can help. Their Heroes program provides experienced guidance from mentors and business professionals to help launch and grow your business. Contact Brad Barnett, Heroes Program Director, at 843-540-7039 or visit their website at donryancenter.com.
Are you tired of market losses and fees associated with the stock market? Would you like to be able to watch your money grow without the risk of any losses? Successful Seniors can help you secure your retirement income. There are no monopolies on good ideas, and in today's financial environment, it is important to get a second opinion and find out what prudent and informed investors are doing with their money. Call toll-free 833-814-0115 or email Doug at dougfair1@msn.com for a no-cost appointment.
The Epoch Times is dedicated to truthful reporting, free from any influence of government, corporation, or political party. Now, radio listeners can receive an introductory 1-month subscription to the Epoch Times weekly newspaper, as well as unlimited access to its website, all for $1. Visit readepoch.com to subscribe online or call the Epoch Times at 917-905-2080 to subscribe by phone. That's 917-905-2080.
Hello, everybody. Jimmy here at Underground Burritos, your restaurant-inspired, taste-delivered, ready-to-heat and eat burrito company. Also got them great, hot and ready. Hey, we moved locations this year over on May River Road, right here in the heart of Old Town Bluffton. Come give us a shout. Come pick up some great burritos. And hey, guys, look, we're teaming up with TalkOne Radio to bring you a great new radio show called Restaurant Talk. Look forward to hearing from you. Stop by. Have a great day.
The Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the No Hate Zone. We want to hear from you. Call us at 1-843-800-1492. Find your voice on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio. TalkOne Radio. Now you're back in the saddle with your host, Zapper.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm not a big deal. Welcome back to TalkOne Radio. Zapper, live with you this evening, 8:42 p.m. I put that in there because my brother David, that's kind of the anchor man, if you saw that movie before. I just love that line. And so that's kind of an inside joke. I added that today myself for the station ident when we return. Just a somber mood after coming back and listening to the story that Joe Prasnikar shared. I still have the link up in both Facebook and Rumble, and I think YouTube as well. But I just have his photo there. An amazing story, a horrific loss, and the tragedy, not only for Joe, but all of those people in that area. And if you've never experienced a tragedy or a loss such as that, you know, I'm going to be careful, guard my words here. But if you've never walked through that type of a journey, horrific loss, tragedy, it's best to keep your mouth shut. And that's all I'm going to say, because you probably have been around those people. And they're, good intentions, but they feel that they have to say something to, quote, try to make you feel better. Some of the worst things I've ever heard is when people say, what was God's plan for this or for that? What a bunch of, you know what? It's not passing the smell test. So don't say that. Matter of fact, fewer words are better than any words. So guard your mouth. Guard what you have to say. If somebody has experienced tremendous loss, it's better just to listen if they want to talk. So just a little bit of wisdom and advice tonight from myself, who I can tell you probably the most recent one is 4 years ago. I lost my father. My father passed away on September 13th, 2017. And then on Thanksgiving the same year, I lost my father-in-law to cancer. So within a period of just a couple months, 2 instrumental men in my life were gone. Fortunately, they both knew Christ, so I will see them again. So you don't know what tomorrow brings. Embrace today. Carpe diem, as they say. And most importantly, love those that are nearby. Treat others with respect. Be kind and compassionate to one another. If it's in your capability, your ability to help others out, by all means, do that. Thank you again, Joe, for being on the program tonight. Hard to believe we're at 8:45. 15 minutes headed to the weekend. So I don't think I'm going to get too much through my talking points tonight. At the start of the program, we were discussing this day in history and how the creation of the Department of Homeland Security the mission creep, all of these government agencies that have overreach, they don't seem to be stopping anytime soon. Attorney General, the DOJ, seems to think that the law applies to thee, not to me. You've probably heard about this recently with his daughter and some of the things that her husband, the CRT stuff. But yet it's okay for the DOJ, the Attorney General, to say, hey, you know, these parents and folks that are attending these school board meetings that don't want to have mask mandates or be harassed, they're coming at, you know, the FBI is coming after you. We're going to play this clip here in just a second, and I want you to listen to it. You tell me what your thoughts are. The phone lines are open, by the way. Linda's ready to take your call. I'd love to hear from you if you have an opportunity to call in tonight. 843-800-1492 is the number here in the studio. So let's listen to this clip. It's about 4.5 minutes, but I think it's important that you hear it in its entirety. So let's start this up here. Give me a second. I shared the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let's try this again. Now it should work. All right, here we go.
But now the Department of Justice is tapping the FBI to stop threats against school staffers. This comes just a day after a prominent school board group wrote a letter to President Biden comparing the threats to domestic terrorism and hate crimes. And he reacted. Fairfax County, Virginia parent Ashri Nomani joins us now. She's the vice president of Parents Defending Education. I noticed your shirt. I'm a mom, not a domestic terrorist. And the reason why that's necessary is the DOJ is encouraging education officials to report parents they see as a threat to the FBI National Threat Operations Center. So that act, sadly, that shirt is appropriate. What's your reaction to this change of events?
Oh, it's outrageous what the federal government is doing now. We have parents right now waking up from sea to shining sea to bring their children to school, to urge them into the day. And what has happened now is that the federal government and the National School Board Association has declared a war on parents. All we have done over the past year is stand up and speak up for children. It's unconscionable that the Federal Bureau of Investigation should even spend a minute thinking about us. We all reject violence, and all we want is to protect our kids, because we are parents. We are mama bears and papa bears. We are not domestic terrorists, and the government needs to get us and working with them, and they need to listen to us. They need to stop demonizing us.
Yeah, I want to let you know. Here's an excerpt from what the which the Board of Education officials have said. The CRT is not taught in schools, they say. Many school officials are facing physical threats because of propaganda purporting the false inclusion of CRT within classroom instruction. Critical race theory is not taught in public schools. You know that's not the case, correct?
Oh, critical race theory is absolutely taught in public schools. We have a multi-million-dollar industry right now that is profiting off of our children. And the one newsflash that parents need to know is that in the summer of 2018, our U.S. Attorney General, Merrick Garland, was at his daughter's wedding, and she married a man who is a co-founder of a company, Panorama Education, that is right now data mining children. I spoke to our Fairfax County School Board because they just signed a $2 million contract with his son-in-law's company. This is going on in school districts everywhere.
But what do you mean? I'm sorry. What is data mining children? What does that mean?
Oh, it's so disturbing, Brian. It's really, while we're watching Facebook under fire, Mark Zuckerberg has invested in this company, Panorama Education, that does surveys of children, asking them questions like, do you consider yourself gender fluid? Are you comfortable talking about race? And they are then compiling all of this information into a database. And they have millions of children's information now. And what they are doing is they are now coming up with their mental health programs for our children, because these organizations have decided that they can profit off of the backs of our kids. And all of that information is now going into the hands of big tech. And so while we're paying attention to Facebook and Instagram, they have this side business going on that is another vertical in their growth industry. And this is something that, you know, unfortunately, the politicians that are our school board members are contributing to.
And we'll have you back on that. But here's what part of Garland's memo that I find really disturbing, and I know you do too. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, the protection does not extend to threats or violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Obviously. But it's how you characterize what a threat is. If I'm emotional and I say I'm upset that the curriculum my son or daughter is bringing home, and someone says, I feel threatened by that, are they going to follow you home and lock you up? Are you going to have to go get an attorney? And Mrs. Middle Class is going to find themselves economically strapped because they cared about their curriculum. That's my worry. Is it yours? Final thought?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we should not have to worry about the FBI knocking on our doors when we raise questions about our school boards and how they're running our school systems. What we've done at Parents Defending Education is we've created a portal. Go to defendinged.org, and I want everybody to send a message to our Attorney General about the fact that he has overreached and he has gone too far.
Asra Nomani, thanks so much.
We have to protect our kids.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank
I think
you, everyone,
the sales of that shirt.
All right, so interesting to listen to that. I'm not a big Fox News person, but at any rate, now we know that that was an interesting clip to listen to. If you're listening live on a Radio Max, again, I think we just went dark for like 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know why the live feed from my microphone isn't being fed back into my Rodecaster Pro. I guess I'm going to have to figure that out. But if you're on live stream, you should have heard that crystal clear. Oh boy. You know, it's always something with me. It's crazy. In other news here, I'm telling you what, we switch from kind of national news to international with this COVID stuff. But here, this person, you know, we heard Dr. Fauci the other day. He was talking about, initially he said, I don't know if it's too early to tell whether we could gather for Christmas. Then he retracted that. Later, he retracted that statement. Now we have that, what is it? Dr. Leana Wen. I just can't stand listening to her. You shouldn't travel to see your family on Thanksgiving if you're unvaccinated. I mean, this is the country that we're living in now, folks. This segregation between vax versus unvaxxed. They are pushing these mandates. Biden bumbling and stumbling. He could barely complete a sentence today. Encouraging these employers to continue with the mask mandates. I mean, we're seeing pushback from airlines, first responders, healthcare practitioners across the board. This is just tyranny. We're staring tyranny straight in the face across not only our nation, but internationally as well. So anyway, this Dr. Wen, I'm just real suspicious of her anyway. She always seems to land on these mainstream or fake stream media channels like CNN and talk about the pandemic and how important it is to take the jab and make sure that you're complying. Let's play this clip one more time here for you. Let's see if we can bring this up, because I think it's important to hear her words. I just can't believe this. So let's go here one more time. Thanks for sticking with me tonight. Got just a few minutes left. And then this will be it for our show tonight.
Just issued a COVID-19 vaccine mandate for anyone over the age of 12 traveling on a plane or a train. I mean, we've spoken about this idea before. I wonder what's a better strategy, playing to someone's fear, using that kind of marketing campaign we just showed, or making the vaccine a requirement for more things like traveling. Should the U.S. be more like Canada?
Yes, we should. We really need every tool at our disposal at this point. We've already tried incentives, we tried outreach and education. We should continue doing that. But at this point, vaccine requirements are the way to go. Vaccine requirements in workplaces, as we've seen, have been very effective. And I also think that for domestic travel, for interstate travel, for planes, trains, interstate buses, things that are within the jurisdiction of President Biden and the federal government, I really do think that it's time to put those requirements too. First, it's going to make plane and train travel a lot safer, but also, especially with holidays coming, it will be a powerful incentive for people to say, look, you can stay unvaccinated if you want, but you're not going to be able to travel to see your family.
Vaccines are working exceptionally well. They continue to work well for Delta with regard to severe illness and death. They prevent it. But what they can't do anymore is prevent transmission. So if you're going home to somebody who has not been vaccinated, to somebody who can't get vaccinated, somebody who might be immunosuppressed or a little bit frail, somebody who has comorbidities that put them at high risk, I would suggest you wear a mask in public indoor settings.
So there you go, folks. How about that? What do you think about that? What do you think about folks trying to travel or restrict your ability to go from one state to the next and travel on an airplane unless you have some sort of a vaccine passport? And then that Rochelle Walensky right there at the end from the CDC. Well, the jabs don't even stop against transmission anymore. So what's the purpose of all this? I'll tell you what the purpose is. Control. It's total tyranny. That's what they want. Natural immunity, as we're finding out, is much better than any of these, quote, vaccines, this mRNA technology. We've got some smoking gun evidence. I won't play it tonight because for whatever reason, I'm not able to not have, well, what should I say? There's the linking from one web browser to the other. I've got two machines running right now, and for some reason, I'm not getting the feedback into the Radio Max or the live feedback into Radio Max. So whatever's playing on my other computer here, which we run all the audio and video feed on, is not getting the feedback to the Rodecaster Pro and then out to our backbone and through into the server through Radio Max. So if you're listening online right now through Radio Max, I apologize for that. That's my fault, and I take full responsibility for that. I should know better than that. But listen, folks, I do want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be digging into some more top stories and all the latest and greatest news from here and around the globe on Monday. Make sure that you tune in on Monday when we have Amanda Phillips, which she'll be discussing Alzheimer's and specifically here locally, the walk to end Alzheimer's. So we'll have her on at 7:30 p.m. on Monday. As Al always says, be kind to one another out there. And be safe, especially out there in 278. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and for Joe and for Kelly for sharing their story tonight. And those that do like to pray, would you please lift them up in your prayers to make sure that Joe especially is getting all the medical care and all of the other mental, physical, spiritual needs that he needs. I would covet those prayers, and I would appreciate it. So, folks, thanks again for listening tonight. Also wanted to give a shout out to my big my big brother Al, and miss him. Hopefully I get a chance to see him at some point. He's sorely missed here. Thank you, Linda, the producer, for helping out tonight, for taking the calls, for everything that you do. And most importantly, for our listeners that are faithful listeners and have an opportunity to support this program. So that's it, folks. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. This has been the TalkOne Radio Network, TalkOne Radio. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to the finest in conservative talk radio, TalkOne Radio, broadcasting live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Taking your calls at 1-843-800-1492. Hey, would you do us a big favor? Please make sure that you like or share this content with your family and friends. And visit our website with comments or questions at TalkOneRadio.com, where you can listen to archive shows and download the Radio Max app, now available for both iOS and Android devices, so you can listen to us while you're on the go. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Low Country's finest conservative talk radio, TalkOne Radio. This broadcast production has been brought to you by the TalkOne Radio Network.